How to quiet your anxious mind. An anxious mind can feel like a room filled with noise. Thoughts race without permission. Fear speaks before logic has a chance. Your heart beats faster. Your body tightens. And even when everything looks fine on the outside, a storm may be moving within. You may have asked yourself, why can I not just relax? Why do small problems feel so big? Why does my mind imagine the worst before anything has happened? If you have ever felt this way, you are not weak. You are human. Anxiety is not a flaw in your character. It is a survival system that is working overtime. It is your mind trying to protect you from pain, failure, rejection, or loss. But when that protective system never switches off, it becomes exhausting. This guide is created to help you understand that your anxious mind can be softened, it can be guided, it can be trained toward calm. Quieting your anxious mind does not mean erasing every fearful thought. It means learning how to respond instead of react. It means creating space between you and your worries. It means choosing steady breathing over panic, clarity over confusion, compassion over criticism. Imagine waking up and feeling steady. Imagine facing challenges without your thoughts shouting disaster. Imagine trusting yourself even when life feels uncertain. This is possible. Peace is not reserved for a few lucky people. Calm is not something you are born with or without. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. Throughout this journey, you will discover practical tools, simple habits, encouraging stories, and powerful reminders that you are stronger than your fears. You will learn how your body and mind are connected, how your thoughts shape your emotions, how small daily choices build long-lasting confidence. Most importantly, you will begin to see that anxiety does not define you. It is an experience, not your identity. Right now, you may feel overwhelmed, but within you there is also resilience. Within you there is awareness. Within you there is the ability to grow. This introduction is not just the beginning of a book. It is the beginning of a new relationship with your own mind. A relationship built on patience, understanding, and steady courage. Take a slow breath. You are already on the path toward calm. And step by step, you will learn how to quiet your anxious mind. Chapter 1. Understanding the Voice of Anxiety. Before you can quiet your anxious mind, you must first understand it. Anxiety is not random. It is not madness. It is not weakness. It is a voice that was designed to protect you. A voice that tries to scan the future for danger. A voice that wants you to survive. Long ago, this voice helped humans stay alive. It warned them about wild animals, harsh weather, unsafe environments. Today, the same system reacts to emails, deadlines, conversations, memories, uncertainty. Your brain does not always know the difference between a real physical threat and an imagined future problem, so it reacts the same way. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, your thoughts begin to race. This is not because you are broken, it is because your nervous system is doing its job too well. Imagine a smoke alarm that goes off not only when there's a fire, but also when you cook toast. The alarm is not evil, it is sensitive, it needs adjustment. Your anxious mind is similar. Consider the example of Arjun. Before every important meeting, he feels a wave of fear. His mind says, "You will fail. You will embarrass yourself. People will think you are not capable." His body responds immediately. Sweaty palms, dry throat, restless thoughts. For years, he believed these thoughts were facts.
He thought, if I feel this afraid, something must be wrong. One day, he learned something powerful. A thought is not a fact. A feeling is not a prediction. He began observing his anxiety instead of becoming it. When fear appeared, he would say to himself, "This is my anxious voice trying to protect me. It thinks this meeting is dangerous, but I am safe." That small shift changed everything. When you separate yourself from the voice, you create space, and space reduces intensity. Anxiety often speaks in certain patterns. It says, "What if something terrible happens?" It says, "You are not ready." It says, "You cannot handle this." It says, "People will judge you." It says, "You must control everything." Notice the tone. It is urgent. It is dramatic. It demands immediate action. But urgency does not always mean truth. Let us look at another example. Mira often worries about her health. If she feels a slight headache, her mind jumps to serious illness. If she feels tired, she assumes something is wrong. Her anxious voice tells her, "Prepare for the worst." But when she visited a doctor, she was reassured that she was healthy. Still, the thoughts continued. Why? Because anxiety is not solved only by external reassurance. It is quieted by internal understanding. When Mira began journaling her thoughts, she noticed a pattern. Every small sensation became a catastrophe in her imagination. She started asking herself, is this possibility or probability? Has this happened before? What evidence supports this fear? Gradually, her brain learned to slow down. Understanding anxiety means studying it with curiosity rather than fear. Ask yourself, when does my anxiety increase? Is it during uncertainty? Before social events? At night when everything is quiet? After scrolling through negative news? What triggers the voice? When you observe patterns, you gain awareness. When you gain awareness, you gain influence. Another important truth. Anxiety feeds on avoidance. If you avoid every uncomfortable situation, your brain learns that discomfort equals danger. The next time, the fear becomes stronger. But if you gently face the situation and survive, your brain updates its belief. For example, Ravi feared public speaking. He avoided every opportunity. Each time his fear grew. One day, he agreed to speak for 2 minutes in front of a small group. His voice shook, his hands trembled, but nothing terrible happened. Afterward, he realized, I felt afraid and I survived. That experience weakened the anxious voice. Understanding anxiety also means recognizing that your body and mind are connected. When you are tired, anxiety feels louder. When you are hungry, it feels heavier. When you lack sleep, thoughts feel darker. Your physical state influences your mental state.
This means caring for your body is part of quieting your mind. It is also important to know that anxiety often exaggerates responsibility. It tells you that you must prevent every possible mistake, that you must keep everyone happy, that you must control outcomes. This creates pressure, and pressure creates fear. Learning to say, I will do my best, and that is enough, reduces the intensity. Your anxious voice may never disappear completely, and that is normal. The goal is not silence. The goal is balance. Think of anxiety as a passenger in your car. It can sit in the back seat. It can speak, but it does not get to drive. You are the driver. You choose the direction. You choose the response. You choose the pace. When you understand the voice of anxiety, you stop being afraid of it. You begin to see it as a signal, not a sentence. as a sensation, not a destiny. You realize, I can feel fear and still move forward. I can hear anxious thoughts and not obey them. I can experience discomfort and remain safe. This chapter is the foundation, because awareness is the first step toward calm. When you understand what anxiety is, why it appears, how it behaves, you begin to reclaim power. And the moment you reclaim power, the anxious mind begins to soften. Take a slow breath. Notice that you are here, reading, learning, growing. That alone is proof. You are stronger than the voice that tries to scare you. Chapter 2. Breathing as your anchor. Your breath is the most powerful tool you carry with you every moment of your life. You do not need money. You do not need special equipment. You do not need the perfect environment. You only need awareness. When anxiety rises, the first thing that changes is your breathing. It becomes fast, shallow, uneven. Your body prepares to run or fight, even when you're sitting in a quiet room. This is not weakness, this is biology. Your nervous system has two main modes. One prepares you for danger, the other restores calm. Anxiety activates the danger mode. Slow breathing activates the calm mode. This means you can influence your mental state by guiding your breath. Imagine Kavya before an important interview. Her thoughts are racing. What if I forget my answers? What if they reject me? What if I fail? Her chest feels tight. Her hands feel cold. In the past, she would let the spiral continue, but today she chooses differently. She sits still. She places one hand on her stomach. She inhales slowly through her nose. She feels her stomach rise. She pauses gently. Then she exhales slowly through her mouth. She repeats this again and again and again. Within a few minutes, her heartbeat slows. Her shoulders relax. Her thoughts begin to space out. The situation did not change, but her response did. Breathing is not about escaping fear. It is about stabilizing yourself in the middle of it. There is a simple rhythm you can practice. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold softly for 4 counts. Exhale gently for 6 counts. The longer exhale signals safety to your brain. You can practice this while waiting in line, before answering a call, before entering a meeting, before sleeping. Rohan used to wake up in the middle of the night with worry. His mind would jump to unfinished tasks and imagined problems. Instead of grabbing his phone, he began using slow breathing. He focused only on the air moving in and out. When his thoughts wandered, he gently returned to the rhythm. Over time, his body learned that night was for rest, not panic. Breathing also teaches presence. When you focus on your breath, you cannot fully focus on fear. Your awareness shifts from imagined futures to physical sensation. Feel the air entering your nose. Notice the slight coolness. Notice the warmth as you exhale. Feel your chest expand. Feel it soften. This anchors you to now. Another powerful practice is counted breathing while walking. As you walk, inhale for 3 steps. Exhale for 4 steps. Keep your pace steady. This combines movement and rhythm. It releases stored tension. Anita struggled with anxiety before presentations. Her voice would shake, her throat would tighten. She began practicing breathing exercises daily, not only during stress. When the presentation day arrived, her body was familiar with calm breathing. Even when nervousness appeared, she could return to her anchor. Consistency builds resilience. Breathing once during panic helps. Breathing daily trains your nervous system.
Think of your breath as a remote control. When anxiety increases the volume, you can lower it. Not instantly, not perfectly, but steadily. There will be moments when your mind says this will not work. That is simply another anxious thought. Stay with the breath anyway. Even if your mind continues talking, your body is still receiving the message of safety. You may not notice dramatic change in the first minute, but subtle shifts begin immediately. Your heart slows, your muscles loosen, your brain receives oxygen steadily. Calm is not created by force, it is invited through rhythm.
The more you practice, the quicker your body responds. Eventually, you will notice something powerful. You are no longer controlled by the first wave of anxiety. You have a tool. You have a pause. You have a choice. In stressful conversations, in uncertain moments, in silent nights, your breath is there, steady, reliable, patient. When everything feels overwhelming, return to this simple truth. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out gently. Again and again. With each breath, you remind your body, I am safe right now. And that reminder is the beginning of peace. Chapter 3. Rewriting the Inner Story. Your anxious mind is not only powered by sensation, it is powered by stories. Every day you tell yourself stories about who you are, about what might happen, about how others see you, about what the future holds. When anxiety takes control, the stories become dark and dramatic. It says you will fail. It says people will reject you. It says you are not enough. It says something will go wrong. These stories repeat so often that they begin to feel like truth. But a repeated thought is still just a thought. Imagine Arav, who wants to start his own business. Each time he considers taking action, his mind whispers, you are not experienced enough. Others are smarter. You will lose money. People will laugh at you. Because he believes this story, he delays. He hesitates. He stays stuck. One evening, he decides to write his fears on paper. He reads them slowly. For the first time, he sees them as sentences, not destiny. He asks himself, where is the proof? Have I failed before? Did I survive? Do I know anyone who started without certainty? His story begins to shift. Maybe I do not know everything yet, but I can learn. Maybe I will make mistakes, but mistakes are part of growth. The fear does not disappear instantly, but its grip weakens. This is the power of rewriting your inner story. Anxiety thrives on exaggeration. If you make one mistake, it says you always fail. If one person disagrees, it says everyone hates you. If one plan changes, it says your future is ruined. Notice the extreme language. Always, never, everyone, no one, disaster, impossible. When you hear these words, pause. Ask yourself, is this completely true? Or is my anxious mind trying to protect me? Mira once believed that speaking in meetings would expose her as incompetent. For months, she remained silent. One day, she challenged her belief. She prepared one small comment. Her voice trembled, but she spoke. The reaction was neutral. No one criticized her. Some even nodded. Her brain received new evidence. The story, I will be humiliated, was not accurate. Rewriting your inner story requires 3 simple steps. First, notice the anxious thought. Second, question it with curiosity. Third, replace it with a balanced, truthful statement. Not blind positivity, not unrealistic optimism, but grounded truth. For example, anxious thought, I cannot handle this. Balanced truth, this feels difficult, and I have handled difficult things before. Anxious thought, if I fail, everything is over.
Balanced truth. Failure would be uncomfortable, but it would not end my life. Anxious thought. People are judging me. Balanced truth. I cannot read minds, and most people are focused on themselves. Rohan struggled with social anxiety. Before every gathering, he imagined awkward silence, rejection, embarrassment. He began practicing balanced thinking. Instead of saying, "This will be terrible," he told himself, "I may feel nervous, and I can still have one good conversation." That small shift reduced the pressure. Your brain believes what you repeat. If you constantly repeat fear, your brain strengthens fear pathways. If you repeat balanced thoughts, your brain builds stability. This is not instant, it is training, just like exercising a muscle. At first, it feels unnatural. The old fearful story feels louder, but with repetition, the new story grows stronger. Another powerful method is future reframing. When anxiety predicts disaster, ask yourself, if this worst-case scenario happened, what would I do next? Often, you'll discover that you have options. You would seek help. You would adjust. You would recover. Realizing that you have coping ability reduces fear. Anxiety wants certainty, but life offers adaptability. Your strength lies in adaptability. There will be days when the anxious story returns loudly. That does not mean you failed. It means your brain is used to old patterns. Gently return to questioning. Gently return to rewriting. Over time, something remarkable happens. You begin to trust your rational voice more than your fearful one. You begin to notice anxiety early, before it becomes overwhelming. You begin to respond instead of react. Your inner dialogue becomes kinder, more supportive, more realistic. And with that shift, your emotional world changes. Because thoughts create feelings. Feelings influence actions. Actions shape results. When you rewrite your inner story, you rewrite your experience. You are not the fearful sentences in your mind. You are the author. You can edit, you can revise, you can choose a different perspective. And each time you choose balance over exaggeration, courage over catastrophe, compassion over criticism, your anxious mind becomes quieter, not silent, but softer. And in that softness, you discover clarity. In that clarity, you discover confidence. And in that confidence, you discover freedom. Chapter 4. Grounding yourself in the present moment. Anxiety lives in the future. It asks, what if? It predicts disaster. It creates scenes that have not happened. Your body reacts as if those imagined events are real. Your heart races, your stomach tightens, your muscles prepare for danger. But here is the truth. In most anxious moments, you are physically safe. The problem is not the present moment. The problem is the imagined future. Grounding is the practice of returning to now. The present moment is often far calmer than the story in your mind. Imagine Neha sitting at home at night. Her mind begins to race about a conversation she will have tomorrow. She imagines conflict, rejection, embarrassment. Her body becomes tense. Instead of continuing the spiral, she decides to ground herself. She looks around her room. She notices the color of the walls, the soft sound of the fan, the feeling of the floor beneath her. She slowly names 5 things she can see, 4 things she can touch, 3 things she can hear, 2 things she can smell, 1 slow, deep breath. Within minutes, her body begins to settle. The conversation has not happened. The future has not arrived. Right now, she is sitting safely in her room. Grounding interrupts the anxiety cycle. It shifts your focus from imagination
to sensation. Another example. Arjun feels anxious while traveling on a train. His mind imagines delays, accidents, problems. He feels trapped in his thoughts. He begins a simple grounding exercise. He presses his feet firmly into the floor. He notices the vibration of the train. He observes the pattern on the seat in front of him. He listens carefully to distant conversations. His awareness returns to his senses. The more detailed your observation, the stronger the grounding effect. Describe object silently in your mind. The chair is brown. The air feels cool. The light is bright. My hands feel warm. This anchors you. Anxiety pulls you upward into racing thoughts. Grounding pulls you downward into your body. Your senses exist only in the present. You cannot physically see tomorrow. You cannot physically touch next week. You can only experience now. Another powerful grounding tool is temperature. Hold a cool glass of water. Splash your face with cold water. Step outside and feel fresh air. Strong physical sensations bring you back to reality. Ravi once experienced sudden panic in a crowded mall. His thoughts were overwhelming. Instead of running away, he walked to a quiet corner. He placed his hand on a cold railing. He focused on the cool metal against his skin. He slowed his breathing. The intensity reduced. Grounding does not erase anxiety instantly. It reduces its volume. It reminds your nervous system that you are not in immediate danger. You can also ground yourself through movement. Walk slowly and notice each step. Feel your heel touch the ground, then your toes. Notice the shifting of weight. Or stretch your arms upward. Feel your muscles extend. Notice the release.
Movement reconnects you to your physical existence. Sometimes anxiety feels powerful because your thoughts feel uncontrollable. Grounding gives you control over attention. You may not control the first anxious thought, but you can choose where to place your focus next. That choice is power. There will be times when your mind resists grounding. It may say, "This is useless." It may try to pull you back into worry. Gently return to the present anyway. Like training a muscle, attention becomes stronger with practice. Over time, you will notice that anxiety loses its intensity more quickly. You will catch yourself earlier. Instead of drowning in future fear, you will step back into present awareness. You will realize something important. Right now, in this second, you are breathing. You are alive. You are here. This moment is manageable. The present moment rarely demands panic. It usually asks only for presence. When you ground yourself, you send a clear message to your mind. I am not in danger. I am here. I am steady. And each time you practice returning to now, your anxious mind grows quieter, because peace has always lived in the present, and you can return to it whenever you choose. Chapter 5. Building daily habits that create calm. A quiet mind is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built in ordinary daily choices. Anxiety becomes louder when your body is exhausted, when your routines are chaotic, when your days have no rhythm. Calm grows when your life has supportive structure. Small habits repeated daily shape your mental state more than occasional motivation. Imagine Sonia, who often feels anxious without knowing why. She sleeps late, skips meals, scrolls on her phone at night, wakes up tired, rushes through her mornings. Her mind feels scattered because her life feels scattered. One day she decides not to fix everything at once. She starts with one habit. She chooses a consistent sleep time. At first, it feels difficult. Her mind wants stimulation.
Her phone feels tempting, but she places it away from her bed. She dims the lights. She reads a few calming pages before sleep. Within a week, her rest improves. Within 2 weeks, her mornings feel lighter. Sleep is not a luxury. It is emotional medicine. When you are sleep deprived, your brain struggles to regulate fear. Another powerful habit is gentle movement. You do not need intense workouts. You need consistency. Walking for 20 minutes, stretching in the morning, practicing slow yoga, even cleaning your space mindfully. Movement releases stored tension. Rohan noticed that on days he walked in the evening, his thoughts felt clearer. On days he stayed indoors all day, his anxiety increased. Your body holds stress. Movement helps release it. Nutrition also plays a quiet but powerful role. Skipping meals can increase irritability. Too much caffeine can intensify racing thoughts. Too much sugar can create energy crashes. This does not mean perfection, it means awareness. Anitha realized that drinking multiple cups of coffee made her heart race. She slowly reduced her intake. Her physical anxiety symptoms softened. Listen to your body. It often speaks before your mind understands. Another daily habit that builds calm is intentional quiet time. Even 10 minutes without noise, without screens, without conversation. Sit with your breath. Write your thoughts. Watch the sky. Water your plants. Stillness strengthens emotional stability. Vikram began waking up 15 minutes earlier. He sat near a window with tea. No phone, no news. At first, his mind wandered, but gradually he began to enjoy the silence. Those 15 minutes changed the tone of his entire day. Your morning routine shapes your mental direction. If you begin your day with rushing and scrolling, your mind absorbs urgency. If you begin with breathing and intention, your mind absorbs steadiness. Connection is another essential habit. Anxiety grows in isolation. It softens in healthy connection. Talking to a trusted friend, spending time with family, sharing laughter, being heard. Mira noticed that when she kept her worries to herself, they felt heavier. When she shared them, they felt manageable. Humans are not designed to carry stress alone. Another habit that reduces anxiety is planning your day with realism. Overloading your schedule creates pressure. Pressure fuels worry. Instead, choose 3 important tasks. Complete them with focus. Allow space between commitments. When your day feels manageable, your mind feels manageable. Consistency is more important than intensity. You do not need to transform your life overnight. Choose one habit, practice it daily, let it become natural, then add another. Calm is built layer by layer. There will be days when you miss your routine. That does not erase progress. Return gently. Self-discipline does not mean harshness. It means commitment with compassion. Over time, your habits create a stable foundation. When unexpected stress appears, you are not already exhausted. You are supported by sleep, by movement, by nourishment, by quiet, by connection. Daily habits are silent protectors. They reduce the background noise of anxiety. They strengthen your nervous system. They build resilience. You may not notice dramatic change in one day, but after weeks and months, you will look back and realize your reactions are softer, your thoughts are clearer, your body feels steadier. That is the power of daily practice. Calm is not accidental, it is cultivated, and every small, healthy choice you make is a vote for a quieter mind. One step, one habit, one day at a time.
Chapter 6. Facing fear instead of avoiding it. Avoidance feels safe in the moment. When something makes you anxious, your instinct is to escape.
Cancel the plan. Delay the task. Stay silent. Turn away. For a short time you feel relief, but later the fear grows stronger. Avoidance teaches your brain that the situation was dangerous. It sends a message that says, "Good thing we escaped." The next time, the fear appears even bigger. Imagine Kabir, who fears making phone calls. Each time his phone rings, his heart races. He lets it ring. He tells himself he will call back later. Later never comes. Over weeks, his anxiety around phone calls increases. Even thinking about calling someone creates tension. One day, he decides to try something different. He does not aim for perfection. He does not aim to feel confident. He simply decides to act while anxious. He calls a close friend first. His voice shakes. His hands feel sweaty. But the conversation goes normally. Nothing terrible happens. His brain receives new information. The fear was loud. The danger was not real. This is how courage grows. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement despite fear. When you face what scares you in small, manageable steps, your nervous system learns safety. Start small. If social gatherings overwhelm you, attend for 10 minutes instead of avoiding completely. If public speaking scares you, practice in front of one trusted person. If driving makes you anxious, drive around your neighborhood before taking a long trip. Gradual exposure builds strength. Ananya feared elevators. She always took the stairs, even in tall buildings. Her legs would ache, but she believed the stairs were safer. One day, she stood in front of an elevator. She did not enter. She simply stood there and noticed her fear. Her heart raced, but she remained still. The next day, she stepped inside for one floor, then stepped out. Each small exposure reduced the intensity. Within weeks, she could ride calmly. Fear shrinks when you stop feeding it avoidance. Your brain is always learning. When you avoid, it learns danger. When you face, it learns resilience. There will be discomfort. Your heart may beat fast. Your thoughts may scream. But remind yourself, discomfort is not danger. Feeling anxious does not mean something bad is happening. It means your body is adjusting. Rohan feared sharing his opinions at work. He worried others would disagree. Instead of staying silent, he prepared one small point before meetings. Even when nervous, he shared it. Sometimes people agreed. Sometimes they did not. But he survived every time. He learned that disagreement is not disaster. When you repeatedly face fear, something powerful happens. Your confidence no longer depends on feeling calm. It depends on knowing you can handle discomfort. That shift changes everything. Because waiting to feel fearless keeps you stuck. Acting while afraid moves you forward. You do not need giant leaps. Small, repeated steps are enough. Celebrate each attempt, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if it feels imperfect. Progress is built from action, not from comfort. Over time, you will notice situations that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. Your anxious mind will still speak, but it will no longer control your decisions. You will say, "I'm nervous and I'm going anyway. I'm unsure and I will try. I am afraid and I can handle it." That is strength. Every time you face fear, you reclaim power. You prove to yourself that you are capable. And with each courageous step, your anxious mind becomes quieter. Not because fear vanished, but because you became stronger than it. Chapter 7. Practicing self-compassion in moments of anxiety. One of the quiet reasons anxiety grows stronger is self-criticism. When you feel anxious, you may say to yourself, "Why am I like this? I should be stronger. Other people handle this better. Something is wrong with me. These thoughts add a second layer of pain. First, there is fear. Then, there is judgment about the fear. This creates emotional pressure. Imagine Priya, who experiences panic before presentations. After each presentation, she replays every small mistake in her mind. She criticizes her voice, her posture, her words. Even if the presentation goes well, she focuses only on flaws. Her anxiety does not come only from fear of speaking. It comes from fear of judging herself. One day, she decides to try something different. After a presentation, instead of criticizing, she tells herself, "I felt nervous and I still showed up. That took courage." At first, it feels unnatural, almost uncomfortable. But slowly, she notices a shift. Her anxiety before the next presentation is slightly lower. Why? Because she is no longer afraid of attacking herself. Self-compassion is not weakness, it is emotional strength. It means responding to your own pain with understanding instead of harshness. Imagine how you would speak to a close friend who feels anxious. You would not insult them. You would not say they are broken. You would remind them that it is okay to feel afraid. You deserve the same kindness. When anxiety rises, try placing your hand gently over your heart. Take a slow breath. Say silently, "This is a difficult moment. Many people feel this way. I will be kind to myself right now." These words calm the nervous system. Harsh self-talk activates threat response. Kindness activates safety response. Rohan often felt ashamed of his anxiety. He tried to hide it, pretend it didn't exist. The more he resisted it, the stronger it became.
When he began acknowledging it without shame, saying, "I am feeling anxious and that is human," the intensity reduced. Acceptance softens resistance. Self-compassion also means allowing imperfection. Anxious minds often seek control and perfection. They believe mistakes are dangerous, but mistakes are part of growth. Ananya once avoided trying new hobbies because she feared being bad at them. She believed if she was not good immediately, it meant failure. One day, she joined a beginner art class. Her drawings were not perfect. She felt awkward. Instead of quitting, she told herself, "I am learning. It is okay to be new at something." Over time, her anxiety about trying new things decreased. When you remove the demand to be flawless, you remove a large source of fear. Self-compassion also involves forgiveness. You may have avoided situations. You may have made decisions based on fear. You may regret missed opportunities. Instead of punishing yourself, choose understanding. At that time, you did the best you could with the awareness you had. Growth begins the moment you decide to respond differently. Be patient with your progress. Some days, anxiety will feel light. Other days, it may feel heavy. This does not mean you failed. It means you are human. Healing is not a straight line. It moves forward and backward, but overall, it moves upward. Speak to yourself in a tone that builds you. Replace "I cannot handle this" with "This is hard and I'm learning to manage it." Replace "I am weak" with "I am practicing strength." Replace "I always mess up" with "I am growing through experience." Your inner voice shapes your emotional world. If your inner voice becomes supportive, your anxiety loses one of its strongest fuels. You are not required to fight yourself while facing fear. You can stand beside yourself, encourage yourself, support yourself, just as you would support someone you love. The quieter your self-criticism becomes, the quieter your anxious mind becomes. Because beneath anxiety, there is often a simple need. The need to feel safe. The need to feel accepted.
the need to feel enough. When you give yourself compassion, you meet those needs from within. And when you feel supported by your own voice, fear no longer feels so overwhelming. You begin to realize, I may feel anxious, but I am not alone. I am here for myself. And that realization brings deep, lasting calm.
Chapter 8. Releasing Tension from the Body. Anxiety does not live only in your thoughts. It lives in your body. It tightens your shoulders. It stiffens your neck. It clenches your jaw. It knots your stomach. Sometimes you may not even notice how much tension you are carrying. You may think you are only worried, but your body has been bracing for danger all day. If you want to quiet your anxious mind, you must also calm your physical state. The mind and body are deeply connected. When the body relaxes, the brain receives a message of safety. When the body stays tense, the brain assumes threat. Imagine Dev, who works long hours at a desk. He often feels anxious in the evening. He believes it is only because of work pressure. One day, he pays attention to his body. He notices his shoulders are raised, his jaw is tight, his fists are slightly clenched. He has been holding tension without realizing it. He decides to try a simple exercise. He sits comfortably. He tightens his fists for 5 seconds, then releases them slowly. He lifts his shoulders toward his ears, holds, then lets them drop. He tightens his legs, then relaxes them. He moves through his body part by part, tense, hold, release. This is called progressive muscle relaxation. After 10 minutes, he feels lighter. His breathing deepens naturally.
His thoughts slow down. Nothing in his external world changed, but his internal state shifted. You can practice this anytime, before sleep, after a stressful meeting, during a break. Another powerful way to release tension is gentle stretching. Raise your arms above your head. Stretch toward the ceiling. Breathe deeply. Slowly bend forward and let your arms hang. Roll your shoulders backward, then forward. Stretch your neck gently from side to side. These simple movements tell your body it is allowed to soften. Movement does not have to be intense to be effective. Walking is one of the most powerful tools for calming anxiety. Ria noticed that when she stayed indoors all day, her mind felt heavy. When she walked outside, even for 15 minutes, her mood improved. As she walked, she focused on her steps, the sound of her shoes on the ground, the feeling of air on her skin. Her body moved, her mind followed. Physical activity releases natural chemicals that improve mood and reduce stress. Even dancing alone in your room can shift your energy. Play music, move freely, allow your body to express what your words cannot. Another important area where anxiety hides is breathing. You may breathe from your chest without realizing it. Shallow breathing keeps your nervous system alert. Place one hand on your stomach. Inhale slowly and let your stomach rise. Exhale gently and feel it fall. Deep breathing relaxes muscles naturally. Massage can also help release stored tension. Gently massage your temples, your neck, your hands. Notice where your body feels tight. Often the simple act of paying attention creates release. Ananya used to grind her teeth when stressed. She began checking in with her jaw throughout the day. Whenever she noticed tightness, she softened it intentionally. Small awareness created big change. Rest is also essential. Sometimes the body needs stillness. Lie down. Close your eyes.
Allow yourself to do nothing for a few minutes. Not scrolling, not thinking about tasks, just resting.
Rest is productive when healing anxiety.
Your body is not your enemy, it is your partner. When it tightens, it is trying to protect you. When you help it relax, you show it that protection is no longer needed. Over time, you will begin noticing tension earlier. You will catch yourself clenching your jaw, raising your shoulders, holding your breath. And instead of ignoring it, you will respond. You will soften, stretch, breathe, move. These small acts accumulate. They reduce the physical load of anxiety. When your body feels safe, your mind does not need to shout. Calm begins in the muscles, in the breath, in the posture. Stand tall but relaxed. Sit upright but soft. Let your hands rest gently. Your body communicates with your brain constantly. Let it send messages of safety. Release by release, breath by breath, step by step. Your anxious mind will grow quieter because a relaxed body creates space for a peaceful mind. Chapter 9. Reducing mental noise and protecting your peace. Your anxious mind is not created only by your thoughts. It is influenced by what you allow into your mind every day. Constant notifications, breaking news, endless scrolling, comparisons on social media, negative conversations, all of these create mental noise. Noise keeps your nervous system alert. Alertness over long periods turns into anxiety. Imagine a man who wakes up and immediately checks his phone. He reads stressful headlines. He scrolls through other people's achievements. He compares his life. He rushes into his day already tense. By noon, he feels behind. By evening, he feels overwhelmed. Nothing terrible has happened, but his mind has consumed pressure since morning. One day, he decides to change one habit. He does not check his phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. Instead, he drinks water, stretches, sits quietly, breathes slowly.
The difference surprises him. His mornings feel slower. His thoughts feel clearer. Your first input of the day shapes your emotional direction. If you feed your mind urgency, it will produce anxiety. If you feed your mind calm, it will produce steadiness. Reducing mental noise does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing what deserves your attention. You do not need to know every piece of news immediately. You do not need to respond to every message instantly. Create boundaries. Decide specific times to check updates. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your phone away during meals. Keep it outside your bedroom at night. Ananya realized that late-night scrolling increased her worry. She would read about problems in the world, then lie awake imagining worst-case scenarios. She replaced scrolling with reading calming pages before bed. Within weeks, her sleep improved. Her nighttime anxiety decreased. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is responsible. Your mind is like a garden. If you constantly plant seeds of fear, comparison, and urgency, you will grow stress. If you plant seeds of gratitude, growth, and encouragement, you will grow calm. Pay attention to the conversations you engage in. Some people speak only of problems, complaints, criticism. After spending time in such conversations, you may feel heavy. Choose balanced discussions. Choose people who also talk about solutions, growth, possibility. Rohan noticed that after certain group chats, he felt tense. The topics were always negative. He muted those chats. He limited his exposure. His anxiety reduced. Music also affects your state. Soft, instrumental music can relax your nervous system. Nature sounds can calm your breathing. Silence can be powerful.
Sit without background noise. Allow your thoughts to settle.
At first, silence may feel uncomfortable. An anxious mind often fears quiet. But with practice, silence becomes soothing. It allows your brain to reset. Another important practice is gratitude. Each evening, write down 3 small things that went well. A kind message, a completed task, a peaceful moment. This shifts your focus from threat to appreciation. Mira began this practice when she noticed her mind only replayed problems. After weeks, she realized her attention naturally started noticing positive moments during the day. Attention shapes emotion. The more you look for danger, the more you see it. The more you look for good, the more you notice it. Protecting your peace also means saying no. No to commitments that overwhelm you. No to unrealistic expectations. No to situations that drain you unnecessarily. You do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. Calm grows in simplicity. Simplify your schedule. Simplify your commitments. Simplify your digital consumption. Your brain was not designed for constant stimulation. It needs pauses, moments of stillness, moments of quiet reflection. Over time, you will notice something powerful. Your thoughts slow down. Your reactions soften. Your anxiety decreases. Not because life became perfect, but because you stopped flooding your mind with unnecessary noise. Peace is not found only in big life changes. It is protected in small daily boundaries. Every time you choose quiet over chaos, presence over distraction, intention over impulse, you strengthen your emotional stability. And as mental noise decreases, your anxious mind becomes quieter, not forced, not suppressed, simply calmer, because you have created an environment where calm can grow.
Chapter 10. Seeking support and allowing yourself to be helped. There's a silent belief many anxious people carry. I should handle this on my own. This belief creates isolation. Isolation increases anxiety, and anxiety convinces you to withdraw even more. It becomes a cycle. But humans are not designed to manage emotional storms alone. Connection regulates the nervous system. Being heard reduces fear. Being understood reduces shame. Being supported builds strength. Imagine Arnav, who has struggled with anxiety for years. He hides it carefully. At work, he smiles. With friends, he jokes. At home, he distracts himself. Inside, he feels overwhelmed. He believes that asking for help would make him look weak. One day, after a particularly difficult week, he opens up to a close friend. His voice shakes. He expects judgment. Instead, he receives understanding. His friend shares similar experiences. They talk for hours. Arnav leaves that conversation feeling lighter. His anxiety did not disappear, but it no longer felt lonely. When you speak your fear out loud, it often loses intensity. Silence magnifies anxiety. Expression reduces it. Support can come in many forms: a trusted friend, a family member, a mentor, a counselor. Professional support is especially powerful. Therapists are trained to help you understand patterns, challenge distorted thinking, develop coping tools. Seeking therapy is not an admission of failure. It is an investment in growth. Anya resisted therapy for a long time. She believed she should be able to solve her anxiety through willpower. Eventually, she decided to try one session. That session turned into many. She learned practical techniques. She discovered the roots of certain fears.
She began responding instead of reacting. Her progress accelerated because she was no longer navigating alone. Sometimes support means practical help, asking someone to accompany you to a new place, requesting flexibility at work during stressful periods, sharing responsibilities at home. You are allowed to ask. Ria felt anxious managing multiple tasks alone. Instead of continuing in silence, she spoke to her colleague. They divided the workload more evenly.
Her stress reduced immediately. Vulnerability builds connection. When you allow someone to see your struggle, you create space for empathy. Of course, choose wisely. Not everyone will understand, but many will. And often, you will be surprised by how common anxiety truly is. Many people hide it behind confidence. Support also includes community, group discussions, support circles, workshops. Hearing others share similar experiences reminds you that you are not unusual, you are not broken, you are human. Another important form of support is self-education, reading about anxiety, learning how the brain works, understanding the nervous system. Knowledge removes mystery, and what is understood feels less frightening. There may still be moments when anxiety feels overwhelming. In those moments, reaching out is courage. Send a message, make a call, schedule an appointment. You do not need to wait until things become unbearable. Early support prevents deeper struggle. There is strength in independence, but there is wisdom in connection. Think of a tree. It stands strong, but its roots are supported by soil, water, sunlight. You are similar. You grow best when supported. Over time, as you receive support, you also become stronger for others. You learn empathy, patience, understanding. Your journey with anxiety becomes a source of compassion. Seeking support does not mean you cannot handle life. It means you choose not to carry everything alone. And when you stop carrying everything alone, your shoulders relax, your breathing steadies, your mind softens. Because deep down, your nervous system knows, I am not alone. And that realization brings powerful calm.
Chapter 11. Creating a Vision of Calm and Strength. Your mind responds strongly to images. Not only the images you see with your eyes, but the images you create within. An anxious mind often plays negative movies repeatedly. You imagine failure before an exam. You imagine rejection before a conversation. You imagine disaster before a journey. Your body reacts to these images as if they are real. Heart racing, palms sweating, muscles tightening. But here is something powerful. Your mind cannot easily tell the difference between a vividly imagined negative experience and a vividly imagined positive one. This means you can train your nervous system by intentionally creating calm images. Imagine Lena, who feels anxious before interviews. Days before the event, she imagines herself forgetting answers, stumbling over words, seeing disappointment on the interviewer's face. Her anxiety rises long before the actual interview. One day, she decides to try something different. Instead of replaying failure, she closes her eyes and imagines calm. She sees herself entering the room with steady steps. She imagines sitting comfortably, breathing slowly, speaking clearly. She imagines moments of pause where she collects her thoughts. She imagines smiling gently. She imagines leaving the room feeling proud of trying. She repeats this visualization daily. When the real interview arrives, her body recognizes the scenario. It does not feel completely new. It feels familiar. Her anxiety is present, but softer. Visualization is mental rehearsal. Athletes use it. Performers use it. Leaders use it. You can use it too.
Each day, spend a few quiet minutes imagining yourself handling a stressful situation calmly. See the details, the room, the sounds, the expressions, your posture, your breathing. Feel the steadiness in your body. Hear the confidence in your voice, even if you do not fully believe it yet. Your brain learns through repetition. Rohan feared driving in heavy traffic. He would imagine accidents, chaos, loss of control. He began visualizing a different scene. He imagined sitting in the driver's seat, relaxed, holding the steering wheel firmly but calmly, breathing steadily, responding patiently to traffic. After weeks of practice, his real driving anxiety reduced because his mind had practiced calm instead of catastrophe. Your imagination can either fuel fear or build resilience. Choose intentionally. Another powerful practice is creating a mental safe place. Close your eyes and imagine a place where you feel completely at ease. It could be a quiet beach, a peaceful forest, a cozy room, a mountain view. Imagine the colors, the sounds, the temperature. Spend time there in your mind. When anxiety rises during the day, return to that image briefly. Your body will begin associating it with safety. Kavya created a mental image of sitting by a calm lake at sunrise. Whenever she felt overwhelmed at work, she closed her eyes for a few seconds and pictured that lake. Her breathing slowed, her shoulders softened. Over time, this became a reliable tool. Visualization is not pretending problems do not exist. It is preparing yourself to meet them with steadiness. It is training your nervous system to associate challenge with capability instead of danger. Another helpful exercise is future confidence. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, stronger, calmer, more secure. Picture how you walk, how you speak, how you respond to stress. Ask yourself, what habits did this future version of me build? What beliefs did they let go of? How do they treat themselves? Then begin practicing those habits now. You become what you repeatedly picture and practice. There will be days when negative images try to return. Do not fight them aggressively. Gently replace them. Each time you shift from catastrophic imagination to constructive imagination, you strengthen calm pathways in your brain. Over time, something remarkable happens. Your default mental movie begins to change. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios automatically, you begin imagining balanced outcomes. Instead of seeing yourself failing, you begin seeing yourself coping. Confidence grows not from eliminating uncertainty, but from trusting your ability to respond. Your mind is powerful. It can scare you, or it can strengthen you. It can replay fear, or it can rehearse courage. The choice of imagery is yours. And each time you intentionally create a vision of calm, your anxious mind becomes quieter, because you are no longer preparing for disaster. You are preparing for resilience, and resilience builds deep, lasting peace. Chapter 12. Accepting Uncertainty and Letting Go of Control. At the center of anxiety, there is often one deep desire: certainty. You want to know what will happen. You want guarantees. You want assurance that nothing will go wrong. But life does not offer absolute certainty. It offers possibility, change, unpredictability. When you resist uncertainty, anxiety grows stronger. When you learn to accept it, anxiety begins to soften. Imagine Vikram, who constantly worries about the future of his career. He checks every detail repeatedly. He overplans. He overthinks. He tries to predict every possible problem. Yet the more he tries to control outcomes, the more exhausted he feels. One day he realizes something important. Control is limited. Effort is available. He shifts his focus.
Instead of trying to control every result, he focuses on what he can influence: his preparation, his learning, his attitude, his consistency. The future remains uncertain, but his relationship with it changes. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means recognizing reality. You cannot control every opinion, every event, every outcome, but you can control your response. An anxious mind says, "What if everything goes wrong?" A calm mind says, "I do not know what will happen, and I will handle it step by step." That statement carries strength. Ria often worried about her health. She searched symptoms online. She imagined worst-case scenarios. Her mind demanded certainty. But complete certainty is impossible. She began practicing a new sentence: "There is uncertainty, and I can live with that." At first, this felt uncomfortable, but over time, it felt freeing, because she stopped fighting what she could not control. Much anxiety comes from trying to solve problems that do not yet exist. You replay conversations that have not happened. You defend yourself against criticism that may never come. You prepare for disasters that are unlikely. This drains mental energy. Instead, practice present effort. Ask yourself, what is within my control right now? Maybe it is sending one email, preparing one task, having one honest conversation, taking one small action. Then let the rest unfold. Trust grows when you experience your ability to adapt. Think of past uncertainties in your life. There were times you did not know what would happen, yet you survived, you adjusted, you learned. Your history is proof of adaptability. Uncertainty is not new. It has always existed.
You have always moved through it. Another helpful practice is releasing perfection. Perfection is an attempt to eliminate uncertainty. If everything is perfect, nothing can go wrong, but perfection is unrealistic. Allow room for mistakes. Allow room for learning. Ananya once believed she had to control every detail of a project. If anything changed, she panicked. Eventually, she began telling herself, plans can adjust. Change is not disaster. Her anxiety decreased as her flexibility increased. Flexibility is the opposite of fear. When you accept that life will shift, you stop resisting every movement. You begin flowing instead of fighting. Acceptance also means allowing uncomfortable feelings. Trying to eliminate anxiety completely often increases it. Instead, say, "I feel anxious and that is okay. This feeling will pass." Emotions are temporary waves. They rise, they peak, they fall. You do not need to push them away. You only need to ride them gently. Over time, you will notice something powerful. The less you demand certainty, the calmer you become. The less you try to control every outcome, the more energy you have for meaningful action. Life will always carry unknowns, but unknown does not mean unsafe. It means unfolding, and you are capable of unfolding with it. Each time you release the need for absolute control, each time you accept that uncertainty is part of being alive, your anxious mind relaxes, because it no longer feels responsible for predicting the entire future. You begin trusting yourself instead of trying to control everything. And trust is the foundation of deep inner peace. Conclusion. Choosing calm again and again. Quieting your anxious mind is not a single decision. It is a daily practice. It is not about eliminating every fearful thought. It is about changing your relationship with those thoughts. Throughout this journey, you have learned something powerful. Anxiety is not your enemy.
It is a protective system that sometimes becomes too loud. You learn to breathe slowly when panic rises. You learn to question fearful stories instead of believing them. You learn to ground yourself in the present moment. You learn to build daily habits that support stability. You learn to face fear in small, courageous steps. You learn to treat yourself with compassion. You learn to release tension from your body. You learn to protect your peace from unnecessary noise. You learn to seek support without shame. You learn to visualize strength. You learn to accept uncertainty. Each of these practices is a tool. You do not need to use all of them at once. You only need to return to them consistently. There will be days when your mind feels calm and clear. There will be days when anxiety returns loudly. This does not mean you have failed. Growth is not a straight path. It is a steady upward movement with occasional dips. When anxiety rises again, remember, pause, breathe, observe, respond. Do not fight yourself. Do not judge yourself. Stand beside yourself. Imagine your future self months from now, more grounded, more patient, more confident. That version of you is not created by perfection. It is created by repetition. Repetition of calm breathing. Repetition of balanced thinking. Repetition of self-kindness. Repetition of courage. Confidence grows each time you handle discomfort. Peace grows each time you choose presence over panic.
You are not broken. You are learning. You are not weak. You are practicing strength. Every challenge you face builds resilience. Every anxious moment you manage builds trust in yourself. Trust is the deepest antidote to anxiety. Trust that feelings pass. Trust that you can cope. Trust that you are capable of adapting. Your mind may still produce what-if thoughts, but now you know how to respond. Maybe, and I will handle it. That sentence carries power. Remember that calm is not something you find outside yourself. It is something you cultivate within. It lives in your breath, in your posture, in your daily choices, in your compassion, in your courage. Each time you slow down instead of spiraling, each time you speak kindly instead of criticizing, each time you take one brave step instead of avoiding, you strengthen the calm part of your mind. Anxiety may visit, but it no longer controls your direction. You are the one driving your life. You are capable of facing uncertainty, of speaking despite fear, of resting without guilt, of asking for help, of beginning again. And you can begin again at any moment. Right now, take one slow breath. Notice your body. Notice your surroundings. Notice that you are here, alive, learning, growing. Your anxious mind can become quieter, not because life becomes perfect, but because you become steadier. And step by step, breath by breath, choice by choice, you are building a life led by calm instead of fear. That is your strength. That is your progress. That is your peace.
The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.